Hi, in this video, we're going to be discussing a paper written by Gregory Walton and Jeffrey Cohen entitled "A Brief Social Belonging Intervention Improves the Academic and Health Outcomes of Minority Students." In this paper, the researchers try to see if increasing a minority student's sense of belonging can also increase their academic performance. To answer this question, the researchers recruited a group of first-year college students. Half of this group was African American students, and the other half were European American students. In the experiment, the researchers had the students read a survey of upperclassmen that essentially showed that the transition to college is a tough one and many people struggle with it. Also, the researchers asked the students to write about their own transition experiences and record them for use by future first-year students. 3 years later, the researchers found that the African American students that had participated in the study had significantly higher GPAs than African American students that had not participated in the study. In addition, the European American students that had participated in the study had GPAs that were essentially the same as European American students that had not participated in the study. Therefore, it seems that the intervention specifically increased the academic outcomes for the African American students. Next, you're going to watch a few short interviews of 2 college professors and 2 graduate students sharing their thoughts on the paper. Their thoughts and opinions are meant to serve as a springboard for the discussions that you will have with other MOOC participants in the discussion forums.
One of the first things that jumped out to me was that this was a big coincidence that I was actually reading this paper, because I had heard at least 3 or 4 other professors talk about these targeted interventions, specifically to think about how science is a growth kind of learning mechanism, and that failure is completely par for the course. And at least those 3 professors were over the summer trying to think about how to incorporate this into their own programs. And so it struck me that this must be a really hot topic. And then the immediate other thing that struck me was how we were going to implement this into a physics type of curriculum, because that seems pretty touchy-feely, you know? So I'm still struggling with how we're going to actually do this. So for me, I definitely felt like I didn't belong in any of the classes that involved science as an undergrad or even in high school, because you're right, I was a woman. We were also, I'm from Montana, we were pretty isolated, and so I had never seen anybody like me ever attempt this type of career. And so all along my path, even kind of today, I feel like I don't belong. And at least at the beginning, I would take every little failure as a sign that I wasn't cut out for it and that I didn't belong. And so one of the things now that I've kind of made it, and I'm walking the walk of a scientist, is that I emphasize to people that that if you fail, it is not a sign that you don't belong. All that you really need to do in order to be a scientist is to just do the science, and that sometimes you're going to fail, and that that's not a sign of anything. I was sure that every bad sign was a sign that I was going to fail, but then every so often a good sign would say, well, maybe I do belong. So I was taking signs from everywhere. I think the thing that finally helped was, ironically, this sense of belonging. So I got into grad school, and about half the folks in grad school were women, and the ladies who were sort of okay to complain. So they would say, I don't understand how to do this problem, and I also didn't understand how to do the problem. So I loved the idea that I finally found my group and my tribe, and so I felt a huge sense of belonging that carried me the rest of the way through. And that's another thing that really resonated with this paper, was that that touchy-feely sense of belonging, it was critical for me personally to be able to succeed. Yeah, I mean, I can be really specific, but I happen to know quantum really backwards and forwards, and so nobody else did in my group, and I felt so proud of myself that I could teach everybody else these quantum mechanical things, and that I took as a sign that maybe I do belong. And then on the other hand, I struggled painfully, and still do, with anything involving instrumentation. So when you talk to me about a radio receiver that's supposed to receive beautiful signals from, the beginning of the universe, and yet you're talking to me about the capacitors and whatever, I still don't get it. And so I had to be carried by my group along. And, I did take that as a sign that I shouldn't belong, but I think another thing you have to think about is that even though you may feel your belongingness, and that may change with time, the whole point of working towards something difficult, like a degree, is that you just do the work despite how you feel, and your group can help you with that. I have 2 ideas, but I'm always open to hear more. One is at the first lecture of the class, you try and set the stage for the whole class and tell people their expectations. And I think one of the things I want to emphasize during the first class are 2 things. One, that you're going to fail, and that's not a sign of anything. So I'm going to give people that sort of expectation that you don't need to be able to understand things right out of the bat. Physics is hard. In order for you to understand things in physics, you're going to struggle with it, and that's totally normal. It happens to everybody. It happens to me. But that's kind of preachy, and so that doesn't get at the idea of this unaware intervention that is really supposed to resonate and really supposed to affect the change. So I think I want to emphasize that students should work in groups, because that facilitates this sense of belonging. I mean, you're seeing, as you work in a group, other people who also don't understand. So I think that is something that I want to really make clear, that you need to find yourself a group, and you shouldn't go alone. Nobody ever, should go alone, go this physics path alone.